Welcome to the New IT. Another episode of the New IT. What's going on today, Brad? What's happening in the world of New IT in our studio, in these seats, in this room?
Lots of stuff. We actually got we got a good show today.
We have in studio. This isn't remote,
right? This is awesome.
In studio is always funner.
So in studio we have people from Esonus, Felicia.
Bunch of people from Esonus.
Right. I was trying to tee you up there. So we've got Felicia and Vince of Esonus. I'm going to let them kind of explain what they do because I get it, but I wouldn't do it justice. So I want to make sure that they introduce and give us a better understanding of what it is they do.
Yeah, give us just anything. Just tell us anything you want to.
Exactly.
And we'll just, if our eyes get glassed over, then we'll
he
talk
can
about
start, and I'll correct him.
Oh, I like it.
Fair enough.
Oh, this is going to be a good show. I can already tell.
Well,
Absolutely.
hey, thanks for having us.
So how you guys get started?
Sure.
What do you do? That kind of stuff.
Well, first off, what is Esonus?
Yeah, sure.
Let's start
There
with
we
the
go.
basics.
Thanks for having us on. We're really happy to be here. Okay, so Esonus, if you think about it, is really we're a technology company, but we create software, plain and simple, right? But the whole idea behind a company like ours is we're born out of large companies that need quick solutions to their software problems. So the whole I mean the really what happened is you have companies who need very specialized expertise in certain areas that they're not going to get hiring or they don't want to have in a hired resource.
Because they need a whole new department to run this one little thing that they need.
Yeah. In fact, our whole motto is fire us. Right?
Right.
We want to be fired.
Yeah.
Because we want to come in with our expertise. We want to write a particular type of software, provide a particular type of solution that we're good at, and then we want to go on to the next client.
And efficiency, in big companies, efficiency is everything.
Oh,
absolutely.
You can do one tiny thing that saves millions of dollars.
yes, and more companies, very large companies, Fortune 500 companies. I mean, some of our clients are doing $2 or $3 billion a year, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they are getting more and more comfortable working with small teams. So, I mean, maybe one of the reasons they like doing that, right, is because they can boss us around.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you're not so much an employee. They can kind of dictate to you more what they need, and you can be agile enough to be able to accommodate that.
Right. And walk back in time. Okay, so when we started, we thought, well, we're small. We should work with small companies, small businesses. But that's not true. The kind of technology we create is used in big ways.
Mm-hmm.
So we're a very small company writing very powerful programs. So if you kind of flip the model a little bit, when you think of software, you think of some program they're using that probably took maybe 10,000 man hours to create or people hours to create, right? Well, companies are not using those large programs to run their businesses. They are, but they're more and more using smaller, faster programs that only do what they need it to do. So why do you want to hire a company that has thousands of software developers to do that? And who are you going to talk to at that company?
Yeah. Customer service there isn't such a thing.
Yeah. Put yourself in the shoes of a business, owner of a large business. If you want to get something done and it's very specialized, like maybe it's a financial piece that needs to do some special calculations and maybe talk to your e-commerce package. Who's going to do that for you? Are you going to hire someone to do that? Are you going to call a very large company to do that and walk through that whole process just to get that done? Even though that's going to be critical, mission critical to everything you do. And I'm talking, it really will be.
Mm-hmm.
Who are you going to call for that? Who are you going to trust to do that? A smaller company that's done that over and over repeatedly, maybe 50 or 60 times before you call them? Or are you going to try to
create it yourself, hire somebody?
And I'm going to do air quotes, a more trusted large company that hasn't done it, but for some reason you can trust them because they have processes.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah, it's everything.
Right.
They got lots of money. They're really, really, they've got to be able to do things good because they've got lots of money.
They're will not only have lots of money, but what they're doing generates a lot. What we do for them will generate a lot of money for them.
Right.
Okay.
Right. I've got to ask. So I'm going to ask Felicia. where did Esonus come from? What
The name?
No.
Oh.
Where did why? I mean, I think we kind of
Yeah.
hear why, but why did you create it? And you guys can
Well,
both take a turn, but
He's been an engineer working in the space for a very long time. And we always joke, we are terrible team members. And what I mean by that is we both like to be in charge, right?
Oh.
We like to say how and when and what, right? And that's very much both of our personalities. And so as far as the technology side, the dev side, if you will, he's there, and the operations side is my side of it.
which works perfectly though.
Absolutely, I would think so.
Yeah.
Most of the
It does-
time.
well, yeah.
Yeah.
Depending
No,
on the day.
does. It does.
Yeah, but when you and I think most companies should understand their expertise is when you've got one person doing everything, that usually doesn't work out well.
Well, no,
eventually.
right, because we can't just be a technology company writing a proposal to a large Fortune 500 company, right? We have to, and I don't mean to say this in a negative way, we have to present and show ourselves as they see themselves, right?
Right.
So, So
Absolutely.
if they want a contract, that should come professionally. It should be DocuSigned. It should sound legal. We should be able to answer their legal questions. When we onboard them, they should feel like they've been put into a project management system, so they know all the steps that they're going to occur to do that task.
Right.
So they should not feel like they're just talking to a programmer, but
Right.
yet we want them to feel that way, right? So that's how we got started. So we realized early on, in order to be successful, we had to have a really strong operational side to us. And you think, well, let's just be a bunch of people programming,
sitting
and
in a
we'll just-
room.
Yeah, let's talk
that
nerd to us
works
and they'll
all
love
the
us,
time.
right?
Yeah,
All
bunch
the
of
time.
programmers in a room, everything gets done. It's
No,
just
but-
magic.
But they're technicians, right? They do what
Yes,
they do really well.
really
and
well.
so we tried
they
to
need
free
direction.
them up. They do, and we tried to free them up to do what they do really well. You don't want the seamstress fixing the sewing machine.
Right.
You want the seamstress or seamster sewing. And so
Yeah.
that's kind
Absolutely.
of our
Yeah.
approach is we free the genius of development and the creativity of creating what clients need. We free them up to do that. We get rid of all of the other stuff so they don't have to deal with it.
Right. Free us up so much there's nothing to do. That's what I like.
Like you said, your focus is fire us.
Yeah, fire us. Yeah, I mean, okay. So when you talk about origins, right? So when I was coding, and a few times I worked in actually had a job as an employee.
A few times.
Since yeah,
way
twice.
back.
He pretended he was a team player
yeah,
for
yeah,
a brief period of time.
correct.
I
But-
love it.
But as I'm sitting there, I'm thinking. After a while, it started kind of occurring to me, they're paying me not to compete with them. So it's that they want me here, but they realize that if I went out and started a business, so the other reason we exist, right, is there's an ease of entry into this business. Like if you have the knowledge, right, there's not too many barriers after that. So once you learn the skills and you learn to set, there's not a lot of barriers.
Yeah, but you gotta put in there. That's a big ass barrier.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, it's huge.
To know what the hell you're doing
Right.
in development and coding, that is a big.
It is
but it's true. Once you get past that, there's not much you can't
what
do.
else is in your way? For
Yeah.
example, okay, so for example, we run our business off of the cloud. Okay, that sounds cliche, right? But what does that mean?
It's
to
our
us?
world.
What does that mean? That means we don't have a server.
Right.
We don't even have a virtual server.
Or hardware of any
of any
local.
Well, yeah, a laptop.
PC.
Okay, we have a server that runs billions of dollars of transactions through it, and the cost is not very high.
Fractional.
It's very affordable for our company, and it processes all those transactions faster than even larger companies, right? And so it's very. So I mean,
And the risk is all on the cloud, right?
On the cloud
We're not
service.
assuming risk, saying
Right.
we've got the server. Oh my gosh! head
And you're
down there.
paying
Right.
for that
right.
for them to take
To
that
take the
risk.
risk.
Exactly.
That's right.
Yeah.
So how many times do you think that our service has gone down in the last 5 years?
Maybe once.
Once.
Once in 5 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unfortunately, we happen to be in Australia on a trip of a lifetime.
Of course, right?
You know what?
It's just work bringing it back to you. to
4
say, hey,
a.m. at our laptops.
I just gotta say, in the history of technology and supporting technology as long as I have, I've never had anybody call up and say, "Man, I'm so glad this happened now. This was the best time this could have possibly happened." Never had that call ever.
Yeah, I'm on it. I don't got anything to do right now.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's always, "Oh my God, this is the worst time it could have ever." Oh, I love technology. Such a beautiful thing. It makes our life easier until it doesn't.
Okay. So that barrier, but think about that. That barrier is removed for everybody who, if you have the skills.
There's the barrier that used to be there isn't.
I mean, this is a message to all developers. Why are you working for somebody?
Dang!
What sense does that even
Let's
make?
be bold, my friend.
Absolutely.
That six-figure income you're getting is ridiculous. You are.
Oh my gosh! I hope they're listening.
You're giving it away.
Yeah.
You're
Well,
giving
I
it
hope
away.
they're listening. They call us. Reach out.
Because
call work for me.
Well, because you do have developers, right?
Yeah, we do have staff. So,
Well,
so,
and
that's
I
a
was
good
gonna say
piece
that
for you. Yeah.
one of the reasons Esonus was created is we have a deep commitment to education. And, we've worked with a lot of clients who have been the recipients of code that was subpar because...
That never happens.
Well, yeah.
Never.
And we fix it, right? Because somebody along the way told a developer, this patchy, sketchy code that you're writing, that's great. Do that. And, he's always been committed to, we do the highest standard of coding. We solve your problem, not for the moment, but we understand your business and we solve it for now and in the future. And so we're committed to training and developing those kinds of developers. Now, unfortunately, we train them so well that they sometimes go elsewhere, which we're actually okay with.
Mm-hmm.
But we found, as you know, in Utah, there's 300 jobs for every developer. There really is. It's that
Competitive.
big.
Probably worse
Yeah.
now. Yeah.
And so now we said, well, we're picking them off the tree then. So we picked the green apples right out of college, and they start getting trained from an excellent
But when you do it
architect.
that way, then you don't get the spoiled that's been taught
That's right.
how to write crappy
That's
code and
right.
stuff.
We're not
Well,
correcting.
yeah,
we are
I've found that
training.
same thing in the technology
Absolutely.
support side.
But
Yes,
you have
yes.
to be patient. You
you
can't
get-
go, I need it today. You have to go, we're going to train you up,
Yeah.
and pretty soon we train you the right way, and you are a great asset to our company.
So on that note, I do have a couple questions, but I am going to ask this one first. So you guys program, but what sort of programming languages do you work with? What sort of software do you use? Let's get a better understanding
Base.
of that.
Yeah, we don't write everything for everyone.
Yeah, that's a good question. So the software selection. So how we choose what platform, right? When I went through the process, I mean, there were at the time I was going, there were so many different options, and some of them didn't look like dead ends, but became dead ends. So before I tell you what we use, I just tell you that we had specific needs. First of all, it was fortunate that, I think for me that over time I could see where the dead ends were going, where we're headed, right?
Gotcha.
There's all these battles between, if you want to get real technical, like should most of the processing be done on your machine, or should it be done on the server? And
See, but that's an entrepreneur mindset, not necessarily a developer mindset. To
Absolutely.
see that future.
right, a developer might not care,
Yeah.
but a developer has to be worried about their career, okay, not just
That's
their
what this
job,
show
right?
is for.
Absolutely.
Right? You should-
Because the
Back to the
future.
question is, why are you working for someone?
if you're a developer, you can't be thinking about your job. You have to be thinking about your career.
Yeah.
You have to look beyond where you are right now. So you have to look at technology that way. So
Wow. That's
yeah, for
That's
sure.
good advice.
And the thing is, it turns over quickly. It's I think, in my opinion, it's for developers to slow down a little bit. It's not quite, the turnover is not quite as bad. I mean, this is just my viewpoint, right?
From my vantage point, I actually think it's getting worse.
You think it's getting worse?
I think developers are actually looking for more, so they're being more ready to switch jobs even quicker. Last study I actually read said that they're looking to move every 2 to 3 years now.
Yeah, yeah. Well, developers are definitely on the move. I agree. Yeah, from one job to another, right? Instead of to
Correct.
entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
But okay. So in the selection process, you guys say, okay, is this going to be a dead end? You have to evaluate your technology, see where's it headed. Is it am I going to be working on doing Adobe Flash, right? Okay, that might not be the
smartest,
You have to look at it and say, how easy is it to debug? Can I debug it remotely? Does it have a nice way of publishing? And can it go through testing? And what are the clients using? Is it a kind of language I can share easily, collaboratively with others, right? And can I multi-use that language? Can I use it for writing a game or writing a server application, or is it familiar enough that I could switch between it and another language, right? Are things all? So we selected early on C#, which is a Microsoft.NET program.
Framework.
And we selected JavaScript. And so what I tell everybody is JavaScript, 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 right? Why are you learning anything else but JavaScript? Because everything, in one form or another, will use that syntax. So syntax is important, right? But there's all kinds of other things without going too far into it. But those were the things that we selected. So what did we get out of that? We got applications that we could run that were standalone. We got applications that could run in the cloud space, and applications that were easy to deploy, and we found lots of developers that wanted to learn that were familiar with that. So that actually worked out well for us.
So with that said, what do you feel makes you guys stand out? What makes your technology different or stand out from the crowd?
I will tell you one part of it, and that is our developers are not running all over the place, right? We kind of demand a commitment and a focus on what we're trying to do, not only the way we're trying to do it, but what we're working in. And so we're very honest with them up front. You're not going to be all scattery all over the place. We've got one very specific thing that we do that we want to teach you how to do. And you kind of have to commit, 6 to 8 months to get to that place. Then you can evaluate whether you like it or not. And if you don't like it, then go do something else.
So having said that, what does your training program look like? Is it that 6 to 8 months? Walk me through what that would look like.
Well, and
for
kind
somebody.
of some specificity about what it is they're doing. What do we do?
What do we do? Okay,
what do we write, and who do we write it for?
Yeah, that's everybody's the edge of their feet.
Maybe talk about
my
this.
gosh, what the hell do these guys do?
Well, maybe talk about.
Let's just leave it there.
Yeah, that'll be great. Thanks for the show, people.
Bye.
Yeah.
Goodbye. Tune in next
Call
time.
us for more. Yeah,
Cliffhanger, people. It's called a cliffhanger.
Yeah, I like that. I think. Okay, so how do we train them? And what are we training them on? Maybe is a good starting place.
Yeah.
So what makes us? What kind of is this disruptive thing that we do? Is number one, we like to learn new things. We love learning new things. If you don't like to learn new stuff, like torture your brain to learn new stuff, you're in the wrong place, right? There's a job for you out there somewhere. Well, it'll take you 9 months, just to figure out how to use the email. We're the kind of people that we want you to learn new. You crave new technology, right?
Ooh,
you have to
that's
crave
fun.
that, right? So
That's what we want.
right, we like those guys. Yeah.
And they're out there.
They're
Absolutely,
They're
they are.
absolutely out there.
Yeah.
yeah.
You just got to be patient in what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
You can't
is
just hire the
prob-
first one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and our formula for finding candidates are people who are we can see that in them, right? They have a little history, but boy, we can see that they really want to learn some stuff, and they look like they have the base, the potential to do it, but they also really want to do it. So, okay, so our secret sauce really is we're in this niche within a niche within a niche, right? So I can write a program for you and hand it to you, right? And say, "Oh, go have fun with this. And enjoy that, and call support whenever that breaks."
Or don't call support.
If you've tried to call it, that support that does not exist in the modern technology world.
Just
right?
send an email. We'll get back to you.
It's all chat now.
Yeah.
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 So our space is, if you're a large enough company, you need a specialized service or product, and we're in this area where we kind of manage that for you. That's one offering, right? So we wrote it. It runs on our servers. It's what we call a platform as a service, meaning or a multi-tenant, meaning we can just add new clients onto it, pile them onto it. We don't have to change a lot of things. Very cleverly written to do that. The other side of it is but we have to monitor that process for you, right? So the reason why you say, okay, why do you have that service? If you're pushing like large amounts of data, mission critical data, we're Amazon ruined it for everybody, right? You order something, next day it's there.
It's magic. It's total magic,
it is,
man.
It just shows up.
Close to magic as you can get, right? Okay, but what happened pre-Amazon? A week, 2 weeks.
Yeah.
What,
I can't even remember that.
who knew what a tracking number was, right?
Oh, yeah.
Now it's like it's text to your phone. Do you want to keep getting updates? Yes, I do. Update me every 5 seconds. I don't care if it's still on the floor.
I need to know where my package is at.
Still on the floor. Good.
It's been at your doorstep for 3 days. I don't go out the front door. That's right.
That's anticlimactic. It's here. Oh. So they've ruined it, right?
Mm-hmm.
They've set this standard. So now you got tiny companies trying to keep up with that. Well, who are you going to call to make that happen? So that's us, right? So we have this.
I was going to say Ghostbusters, but I refrained. But now see, I just said
That
it.
was good, though. You did say.
good.
You squeezed it
I
in
did.
there somehow.
You
I
said
like
it-
that.
You said it so
Elegantly.
calmly.
Yeah. Who are you going to call? Ghostbusters! Yeah.
So-
got to get excited about that.
So they set the standard. So now you have a small company. Let's say you're doing, well, when I say small, but let's say you're doing like $12 million a year and you're selling some really nice product. And I mean, how are you going to get that from maybe offshore, landed in a warehouse in California, and you're in New York? You have clients, who knows where, all over South and North America and Canada, and you got to make sure they get this within 4 or 5 days, right? And you got to have that the right amount landed in your docks and into your warehouse, and maybe into another warehouse, and then split up into different warehouses, packaged into different arrangements.
It was a challenge before, but 2 years ago it became an even bigger challenge.
Exactly. So that's where we step in. We say, okay, well, how do you do that, right? And how do you get those orders that are coming in off of Shopify or Magento or big commerce? How do you get those into your system? Figure out how to curate, get that together, get that packaged and sent out. And what if it's sent to has a different shipping address, or you only have half of these days? What if you only have part of the product, and you want to send that out? How do you bill that?
Yeah.
How do you tax that? How do you let them know?
That hurts my head.
Yeah.
Right.
Just a little
Think
bit,
about that.
right?
Or what if you ship over Amazon, but Amazon, the order comes to you from Amazon, and how do you tell Amazon how much
I'm
you
getting
have?
queasy.
So now you see why
What's the
we like folks that like to solve complicated problems, right? This
Right.
is
Puzzles.
exactly.
Yeah, it
2,000-piece puzzles.
sounds like a simple process, but these are difficult process to do. So we're helping these companies look like Amazon, right? Feel like Amazon. Where's my package? How much is going to ship? And then telling Amazon, for example, how much product you have.
How much inventory you
How much can they sell for you? Where is it? Because Amazon has certain requirements.
And you integrate all of those pieces and
Exactly.
parts.
And not only that, but we go into their financial system, in this case NetSuite was one of our niches, and we can figure out we can do all those computations, and we can send a report up to Amazon, hit Amazon's API and say, this is exactly how much inventory you can promise. So we have this and this and this, so that it goes out correctly.
And I'm assuming in real time.
In real time. Yeah, we'll give you an example. So we had a company where they had the vice president of the company pulling that data out of NetSuite, pulling it to 3 spreadsheets every morning for 3 hours, calculating it all out, figuring out how much inventory he had, and then uploading it back to Amazon himself.
Jeez.
The vice president of a large company. We came in, we wrote it. It runs in, I think, 15 seconds. Done. Every
Everything
morning
you
at
took
7
in.
a.m.
Wow.
And it's perfectly accurate.
But
And
the
it took
other
us
secret,
3 weeks to write. So do the math on how much money we saved them.
Absolutely.
the other secret sauce, though, is that we have a senior engineer, and we also train our junior developers to speak tech to normal people. So they love talking to our engineers because they don't talk like engineers.
That's a big deal.
It's a big deal.
And
it's-
we talk about it. We've talked about it on the show
Absolutely.
a lot. If you don't start doing that and understanding that as a technology person, you're going to be left behind
That's
if you
right.
don't start
That's right.
understanding what you just said.
That's right. But the way, they get trained because they watch a senior architect do that, and then we really value and try to understand our client's business. We understand we're not separate from that. We're not just writing software, so here, go use it. We want you to use it because it makes your business run better, just like the example he gave.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really appreciated by clients in this day and age.
Yeah.
That we're in it with them, to make their business better.
That's hard
not
to
to
find.
just say, here's your software, I hope it works for you,
Yeah.
kind of thing.
That kind of customer service level is few and far between in
It
the
is.
world we live in.
It
now.
was called caring.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
Caring. Wow.
Yeah, and
What
it-
is that?
That's
Ca-
still a
caring,
thing?
caring
That's a
in
thing?
technology.
Ooh.
Yeah, well, that's our motto, right? Nerds you can talk to.
Yes,
Besides
nerds.
fire
We're the
us.
NetSuite nerds you can talk
NetSuite
to.
nerds you can talk to. But
And
yeah,
I want to say that the fire us thing that I think I love about that is what I see from that is I can trust you and I'll probably use you over and over again for whatever else.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? When you're that secure that, hey, we're building this out so you won't need us, that's somebody that I want to keep in contact with and I want to use over and over again.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that kind of leads to the other point. So we try not to be, to your question, we try not to be too locked into certain technologies, right? So, okay, we built our great platform that runs in the cloud. It does mega processing. It's really good at multi-threading and concurrency and all this kind of stuff. But what if there's another platform out there that we could write in, right? That maybe another company's created, kind of a competitor of ours, but it's not. Could we just write stuff on there and the client says, yeah, we'd like to do that because we like to manage it ourselves, and so you can write it and just leave us and we can manage that. We can hit buttons, and so okay, we'll do that. So we became experts in that platform, a couple of them, right? So we are flexible to a degree on the level of technology. So what I tell to your point, what I tell developers is that from our perspective, right, the days are over where you just start writing code
Oh, absolutely.
for out of the blue. So if you're not locked in or familiar or working with another platform like Salesforce or NetSuite or name some others, I don't know. Magento, right?
Starting from scratch is not a thing anymore.
Right. You can't
No.
start. You have to be
You have to-
paired
yeah.
with some kind of other big platform.
And why wouldn't you? Because that gives you a head up. I used to tell people, would you rather spend 10 grand to put this in your building or use a system that has spent $2 billion on the infrastructure?
Right.
Which one do you think is going to
And
work better?
it's now tested. And
Yeah,
proven.
which one's going to work better? Yeah, we can spend 10 grand and build this thing in-house, but it's going to be a piece of junk. It just is.
And you're wasting
And unproven.
You're wasted.
And
Yeah,
you
and
waste time.
unproven.
Yeah.
And it's going to break. Who's going to take care of it?
Yeah.
Your people are, and it's going to suck. Yeah,
Right, and
Yeah,
if
that world is going away.
that world is going. Here's the reason. Another reason why. So for my first, I don't know, 10, 15 years of software development, I can't tell you how many login screens I wrote. Just we got to tie into Azure directory, and then we got to do it
Right.
behind this firewall, but then it has to use an API that hits the Azure directory behind the firewall, and then this guy has to, and on and on. And then another company hires me. Same process. 3 months of login screens. And I'm like, I haven't even gotten to the actual stuff you guys do.
The meat.
Well, and
Nothing.
the interesting thing, right?
Right.
Yeah,
It's,
exactly.
so you
For a
pair with a
developer.
system. You pair with a system, right? Magento, Salesforce. It's done.
Yeah.
So and we've gotten, okay, so one another example, like, okay, Reddit. You guys familiar with Reddit? Reddit. That's a social platform, right?
I've heard of it. Have you heard of it?
I think I
Okay,
have.
all right,
I don't know.
all right.
Yeah, it's a thing where people.
I'm new.
Yeah,
so.
Like-
yeah.
Is it
We're
like
not
one of those new,
completely-
like, dating sites? or
Raise your
something?
hand if
Wait.
you've installed the app.
Have you heard
or-
of Tweeter?
Hey, I had the app on my phone.
Yeah.
I don't use it much. Those people are hardcore.
They're hardcore. Okay, Reddit is. I went through a process with them, right? Their idea is select the best in breed applications. So they don't care if they use Salesforce if it has some kind of financial package to it. They go, well, is that the best financial accounting system out there? No, it's not. Who is? Well, in their case, it was NetSuite. So they got Salesforce and NetSuite. Well, has the best e-commerce for taking orders? Well, they choose that one, whichever one it is. Arguments for all of them.
You're
right.
right.
So they choose that one, but then they're stuck with, okay, well, now we have 4 or 5 disparate systems. How is this going to work? So that becomes integrations, and that's really the crux of our business, right? So it comes down to how
Make them all talk nice.
Then again, they need to talk to each other in very proprietary ways, right? That's us. So we figure that. So not only do we have to code, but we spend about 70% of our time just figuring out
The other products, the other integrations.
first of all,
those-
what does your company do?
What do you
Yeah.
do? And
What's
what do
the
you want?
secret
This,
sauce?
yeah.
What's the secret sauce? Like how does this company make money? Right? Is it smooth operations? Is it less expensive? Is it quicker turnaround of product? What is it? How do they? Is it gaining better relationships with their customers because they're in touch with them more frequently or make them feel more
And
special?
I will say we go in all the time and fix things that have been done who haven't had those considerations. Again, it's just you need this to talk to this. We don't care what you need after that. We'll make it talk to that. Well, then comes the questions. Well, now we need to add another place. Or we need to add. And so this is what I'm saying is one of our secret sauce is, again, we're interested in what does your business do? How do you make money? What do you need this to do for you? Not what do you need this to do?
I love that because
ooh.
I love that because what you've said is, and I think back in the old days, the sales guy would go, yeah, we do this,
Exactly.
this. We do 400 different things with this application. It's so awesome. And I'm like, dude, I need 3.
Yeah.
Just 3.
I need it to do 3 really good.
Really well, yes.
I don't need it to do 400 things really.
Yeah.
I need it to do 3
Yeah.
really well. And I think we are to that space now that people, they get that. Developers, companies that are doing it, they get that. Okay, Salesforce, we are customer management.
Right.
We get it. This is who we are. And then we figure out how to connect to everything
Right,
else. But
right.
this is our baby. And I think we all are getting that now. Everybody.
It's
and you're
interesting
saying
'cause
that
that's-
you're the nitty gritty of just connecting.
That's
You're
right.
that one piece of connecting those, right?
Yeah.
So you're your own little piece of that perfect puzzle too.
Yes,
Because
yeah,
that's
exactly
how we
right. Yeah.
choose our own software personally, right?
Right.
You choose apps that do that for you. As a business, you choose. We were having that Google discussion,
Yeah.
but you choose.
Had to go and bring it up.
I had to bring it up.
Okay, but so now think about why what we would offer in that case. So if we're not intensely and if it's too intense sometimes, but if we're not intensely interested in this, we can't do it. So you can't be a developer that's just really good. I mean, there are some masterful developers. I mean, you know what, I bow to them, right? They're incredible at abstractions and language. But the issue becomes, now I have to, in order to be this integration company, or I have to know a lot about Salesforce, okay? But if I'm pulling data out of Salesforce and putting it in NetSuite, I have to know more about NetSuite than I do about Salesforce. So but then it's not just knowing about Salesforce and knowing about NetSuite, but now they have a system out there that they want to bring all their information and data into Salesforce. So now I have to understand their business really, really thoroughly. And what's funny is, like, we'll start out like
And that's your guys' specialty.
Absolutely.
would you say?
we'll go through that pain with them for weeks, months,
Wow.
maybe years, right?
Wow.
And then we have to turn it all off and go to the next one. Oh, okay, we're done with this.
Because they fired you.
They fired this perfume company out of New York. Now we're doing a manufacturing company in Ohio, and then we turned that off, and now we're doing a truck delivery, semi truck company, that massive, huge one out of Pittsburgh, and then flip that off, and now we're doing a solar company in Utah County, and so that's. But we'll go through that pain, right?
Right, but that's why our developers have this kind of curiosity factor, is what I'll call it. So they're curious about the project, they're curious about the process, but then they're also utilizing, as he said, you've done something similar or like 20 times before, so you're using that prior knowledge to say, we can bring this in, we can do it quickly, and we can do it really well, and generally proven, because although it's not your system or your integration, we've done something like it somewhere else, and we know it's going to work for you
because that is what you guys
exactly.
do.
Similar.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, what is the future for Esonus's technology? What is the future for you guys? You think?
What is the future? Crystal ball.
Get your crystal balls out. That's the.
Well, I see. You can see that just by us talking. There's some constraints to how we could grow, right? Expand as a company, right? So in our space, because we're so in hand in hand with clients, right? It's hard for us to scale that as much as we want. We want to scale that more. We don't want to be as small as we are. We kind of enjoy small because we're just getting better. Rather than offering more services, we're just better at what we do.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are more specialized.
And that's fun. It's fun when people come to us, and it's just what they know within minutes of talking to us that they called the right people, right? It's just like, you've called someone to come work on your house and work on some plumbing, and they're just like, oh, yeah, and they start talking. You're just like, yeah, go ahead. You got it.
No, so I'm going to tell you something funny
it.
that just happened the other week. Is he was sitting in on meetings with a client and doing what we do, and he got introduced in the meeting as the CTO of the company.
Yeah, I got introduced as the CTO of a billion-dollar company.
Just because the trust is there. We've been working with them for months now, and they're like, he knows all, so we're just going to give him this title of CTO in this meeting. It was kind of funny.
Yeah,
Did you raise your hand and go like, hey, I'm still waiting for that salary raise over here?
Okay, well, I'm accruing vacation.
Right.
You just didn't know it. Anyway, yeah.
This is
so
good stuff.
the future. So okay. Do you remember the dot-com boom?
Very well.
Absolutely.
Do
Absolutely.
you guys suffer through that, or you just breezed right through it?
No, I remember it. I made it through the company I was at. We were playing Survivor, and the winner was going to lock the doors, but I was in a room full of like 12 people, and they said, everybody's gone, but Bobby, you can stay and do what everybody else was doing. I was like, well, I got a job. That's cool. So, yeah, I kind of remember .com. 2000, baby.
2000. Was that even 2000? Right.
Yeah, it was right. 2000.
Well, okay. So my question is,
Sorry, that
what
brings back. I'm having some PTSD. Sorry.
I know.
Sorry.
Oh man, there's so many rough stories around that. Holy cow.
I didn't work for pet.com though. I didn't.
Right?
Yeah.
.com PTSD.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah.
What was that language before ASP? That script language. Anyway, I was writing that back in those days. Like, what is this? Some kind of visual Microsoft script thing. What was that called? Active script. Anyway, so
It's in his developer mind.
Right?
yeah, that was I was doing. Oh boy, I could see why it busted because this is garbage. Windows 95.
Yeah.
Oh, was looking
Windows
pretty-
95. Yeah.
Who was thinking about
Classic.
the future of technology?
Wow.
None of us, right? We were thinking, wow, that was fun, right?
Windows
Okay.
98 was good though.
Yeah. SE,
Sure.
2000. Actually, I'll tell you the truth. The second edition
Windows
of 98,
Me though. That's my favorite.
Actually, anyway, 98 second edition saved my life. Just let you know. Okay.
So funny how they can skip generations of really sucky OSs. I just don't get it.
Oh, man.
That has to be integrated in there. So anyway, sorry,
So
we are way off.
So let's. No, we aren't. We're on topic. Let's tell you why. So when you talk about future, so the thing is at that time, there's people around me saying, "Oh boy," they were so happy that technology was getting a punch in the chin, right? Because they were from traditional occupations, and they had watched the technology people that's taking over their salaries, passing them up, and learning more about their companies than they ever knew.
Well, not only were they happy, but they had predicted it. I knew it was going to happen.
And they saw it. They saw it, right? And they were, kind of having a good time talking about the dot-com bust and how we all got ahead of ourselves and overfunded. So what happened after the dot-com bust?
Everything, technology blew up and said, "Yeah, ooh, I want this.
Yeah,
I want this."
They thought it was over, right? They thought we reached the pinnacle.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, mobile phones, internet.
2004, just everything.
I mean, they
everything
were
came
bricks, but they were there.
Yeah.
So
The phones.
so when you look at the future, there have been developments in server cloud technology, right? That or they have refined it, feature riched it to the point where I'm sitting on a browser running in my entire company, watching data just pour through it. If it for some reason ever crashes, which it won't, it will just restart itself.
Yeah.
And start running. And as I'm getting more business, it will just expand.
And it has
Let's get
billions
bigger.
of dollars behind it that you don't have anything to
And
do with.
redundancy.
And it's making little copies of itself all over the world.
Yeah.
And so this is great. So
That is nuts and crazy and cool. And it's not slowing down.
Oh, no.
So we're riding that wave, right? So we're riding the wave of stronger applications that, such as Salesforce, that are kind of growing and becoming more accessible, right? And I think the other big one
SaaS
is
and PaaS is really, I think, where it's going. But
SaaS.
yeah, what do you think? I'm curious. I mean, what do you think the next fad is? I mean, I hear a lot of talk about no code and things of that. I mean, do you think that's going to stick around?
No, that's dead.
It's so dead.
It's gone. Look. You can't escape logic, right? You have to.
What? Can't escape logic? It's either true or it's false.
As hard as Bobby has tried, there's no escaping logic.
He's trying.
There is no way to make a true and a false true. It's impossible. You cannot do it.
You can create all the bells and whistles you want, but you have got to figure out, how am I going to get to this data quicker? If I'm going to beat the other guy, it's not going to be with no code. Low code has an option, right? But low code is built on lots of code.
Of
right?
course.
So people say, make it more simple. Well, I make it more simple for you,
But there's
the more
still got to
simple I
be
make it-
developers that are creating that.
Exactly.
The more simple it is for you, the more complicated it is for me.
Well, what's your
So-
experience with low code, no code? Have you ever
That's an interesting question.
engaged?
Me? No, I haven't. I mean,
No,
that's
I
not
have
my
a little
area.
bit, and I'm here to tell you, the logic is not there.
And that's kind of what I've heard.
I need the logic of
yeah.
a developer.
The concept sounds good. It's one of those things where the concept sounds good.
Yeah.
Well,
But it's just not real.
oh, sorry.
Yeah.
to get you. Yeah. Okay.
That's
So
okay. It shakes all
let me
the time.
let me back into
Delivering
that
your
a little
own
bit.
baby.
That was a
Not
bit of
gonna
theater around that. But
I love this. Is fun.
But let
I'm
me-
having fun, man. I can't help it.
Okay, so-
I'm engrossed.
I will walk you. Okay, we use a platform that we didn't write, right? And it's allegedly a low code, no code system. Okay, so you can go and point and click on it, and it works pretty well. Honestly, they have raised $120 million over the last 10 years to write it, and they've been doing pretty well with it. So I think and I've written on, this is my second low code, no code platform I've written on.
Okay.
So it works well, but you got to remember what I went back to. What makes we have to find secret sauces of companies, right?
Absolutely.
And as soon as we discover that, then there's some
You have to change
special
something.
coding engineering that needs to be done so they can compete, right? Because if they're just point and click, they're not competing.
Right.
They
Right.
have so
Eventually, it's ubiquitous, and then it gives you no advantage.
right. It gives you
Yeah.
some advantage, just some
But
advantage.
if
right?
everybody's doing it, there's no advantage.
Yeah.
Right, but let's say 80%. Let's say I'd have to write 100% of your code. Now I only have to write 20%. That's a good option, right? So there's just
Yeah,
20%
True.
that I have to get in there and kind of mess around with, and now I've met your niche, right? The little thing that you do well, like let's say you manufacture, but you're a just-in-time manufacturer, which is kind of the new business, right?
Yeah.
Like, boom, you got raw goods, and you're making somebody a beautiful ring or piece of
Got a
jewelry.
big warehouse anymore. We're
Right.
getting rid of the warehouse.
No warehouse. You're just pumping it
Churning
through.
it out.
So how do you do that? What's your niche? How do we move that data around? So, yeah, you don't want to spend excessive time writing code. I agree, but we are finding, actually, one of the parts of our business we're finding is people are going, we want to stand up this no or low code kind of system that we found, but we're stuck.
Yeah.
And they're like, who do we call? Well, we call us, and then we come in and say, okay, well, we could spend some time and add some code here and some processes here and keep everything you have intact. We don't have to tear it down, throw it away. That's great. Now you can manage this system, but it does have some coding element that you may not be able to manage, and that would be us. So we're finding a good niche there. So that's I think
Interesting.
yeah.
Helping out the no code.
Yeah, why would they want to hire a coder for that tiny bit of code? It might be small, but it does take a lot of knowledge to know,
to understand and know.
where to put
A
that.
full-time employee with
that would
salary and
not-
benefits who's
that would
probably
not-
got a part-time job on the side because there's
Exactly.
nothing to do. Oh, believe me.
Wow, this is good stuff, man.
Anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh man, I've been blown away. This is good. What last question?
Last question I got is, where do you think technology in general is going? Where do you see like the future of technology?
The whole shebang.
Yeah. Obviously, it's not no code, low no code.
Yeah, well, that there's a lot of people out there who can answer that question.
And we love asking it to other people that come on the show because it's interesting how diverse the answer is.
I think that it's going to continue a trend. I think it just comes down to what does speed offer. When processes are faster. You've got a lot of data out there right now. It's not harvested. That needs to be harvested. Needs to be used. Needs to be milked through. Like even a small company could have, even us, right? We have leads and contacts and things that we just overlook. We can't even manage it. So how is that going to be managed? And, everybody talks about AI, but really AI is just a solution to there's a lot of data. What do we do with it? We
How do you
can't
sort
possibly
and filter
sift
it?
through it, right?
Yeah.
And the trend has been, as one of the things that has trended is servers are faster because flash drives have come into play, and memory's gotten cheap and large and redundant. So that has made like our lives, our services that much better.
Big data crunching.
Big data crunching now within our fingertips, right?
Right.
It used to be like, oh, it's big data, and you're like, well,
Yeah.
who does big data? I don't
It's
know.
the Wizard of Oz.
Who's that guy out there? I don't even know who that person is.
Behind the curtain.
Is the big data person. I don't know what big data is. I mean, I got it. And then all of a sudden it's like, wow, I got 100, 200 million records here.
I'm that big data guy now.
And it was before it was a simple database like SQL Server.
Yeah.
That doesn't do big data.
Not
Well, all of a
even
sudden
close.
now memory's grown, flash drives are here, servers are expanding. I can do pretty big data with just a simple SQL Server, which 10 years ago could not.
Wasn't possible.
Right.
Yeah.
So I will say to you, where's technology's future? And this is kind of where I hope it is. And it's kind of more from an operational side. I think there is a group of folks out there who are going to blow the socks off of technology. But because they perhaps don't look like what we expect, or they don't interview the way we think, or they don't come from a demographic that we know, somehow they're not making it into technology, right? They're not developers. They're not engineers.
And
they're
you
not.
think technology is going to be open for
I
them?
think technology has to open for that because I think
The
it's
more
a-
visionary people,
it's
you
an
mean?
untapped
Somebody with an
creative
idea
source. Absolutely.
that never had a way to develop that idea before
Yeah.
will now have an opportunity.
Right, but that means we have to create some equity around who we're looking at to be the future of technology, the future of development. That's where I hope technology's future is.
Yeah, I think it's when you go to conventions. I mean, globally, you see groups from everywhere, right? You see them from, like Uruguay has an incredible technology center, and there's companies there that are just like we have a hard time competing with. They are good coders, and Costa Rica, Mexico.
I think we have it right here. I just don't think,
Yeah.
A parent who doesn't go home and talk to their child about technology and saying, hey, did you know there's a job where you write all these little symbols and things on the computer and it makes your computer do this thing you're playing? Where those conversations have to start taking place across the board. And there's coding boot camps now for kids. They're teaching coding in schools. There's coding games that they can engage in. I just think we need to start building that. We have to be competitive with the world. If we don't start sourcing our talent that's right here in our backyard, we won't be.
Yeah, and instilling that passion too, right? I mean, not just, but children have.
We're all not going to have that passion, though. Geeks are geeks.
You can't beat that. I mean, geeks are geeks.
Vision, but I think there are different kinds of geeks.
Agreed.
There's
different
very
levels
different,
of geekology, right?
There's artistic geeks that don't
Absolutely.
have maybe a developer mindset,
Exactly.
but definitely have maybe a
creative
vision
mind,
of
yeah.
way
Yeah.
that I could create something if
Exactly.
there was a different way of doing it. And now with development, it's
agree.
not like it. I mean, coding used to be sitting down, bashing this stuff.
Yep,
Now you can
yep.
drag and drop crap everywhere,
course.
and
Yep.
it's like it's a whole new world.
It is.
It
Yeah,
is.
I mean, look at Felicia started her career as a school teacher, and I remember, like, you look over on her bedstand, right, her nightstand, and there's like stack of books,
Yeah.
teaching books. It's all that. I'm like, what? And she's reading them and highlighting them and dog-earing the pages and putting markers in them. So that's a teaching geek, right? Someone that's just really into
Yeah, exactly.
education.
And just so everybody's clear, the reason you know that it's stuff is on her bedside is because you're married to her, right? Just
Yeah, oh,
because
yeah,
it
yeah,
might
that's
be a
right.
little weird if you were just employees
yeah,
and you
well,
kind of
you
knew
know,
about
Well, I don't know. We're
We could just
remote.
edit
We're
that part
remote
out.
working now, and like
just
you
saw
know
over
what?
there.
Everything's possible.
You see people's bedrooms these
True.
days.
Guess I'd let that one slip.
Can't you just blur that stuff out?
Didn't mean it.
No, that was
Downgrade
great.
the
That
podcast.
gave me an option. That's perfect.
But yeah, there's. I mean, I agree.
There is
I agree.
different
I
types of
agree with that.
geekness.
There
It
is.
used to be it was just some kind of a computer person, but it is so
Well,
much
it's evolving.
evolved.
Yeah. I mean, it has evolved, and it's evolving even more. And I
Mm-hmm.
think you are right. I think we are doing that. To me, my definition of technology is the perfect blend of art and science, and we're only getting more and more involved in that. So I do agree with you. I do think that we are going to see people that are going to be disruptors in technology that generally don't
Weren't.
have the background.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Like he said, we can get laptops to kids, and now
Yeah.
that's all you need, right? Or to individuals that want it. Now the playing field is leveled. You can go as far with that as you want to go, right?
And in the world of cloud and application, and that is only getting more and more
Bigger.
ubiquity-ish, that everything connects. And
And it kills me to
It's
say
kind of
this
exciting.
as an educator, though, but I actually advised someone the other day. They asked, should I go to college to get a software development degree? And as an educator, 10 years ago I would have said yes, and today I said no.
No.
really,
This particular person.
We've had that conversation before on the podcast, and I agree.
That's
I don't
scary,
think
yeah.
to be quite honest, in my opinion, you really don't need a degree in IT. It's more about the work ethic. It's more about what can you do for me and how can you implement this and what have you learned.
But to be fair, with the work ethic thing, isn't a 4-year bachelor's degree just to show somebody you can put up with a bunch of shit for 4
Well,
years?
and
I mean,
you
isn't
can-
that really
you can
what
come
it,
out-
it
You
says?
can make that argument,
It's,
yes.
it's like, well, I know you can put up with crap for 4
Right.
years,
And you can
so
come
maybe I
out-
will hire you.
Come out in debt and figure out how to actually pay that
Exactly.
back with
Yeah.
the salary that you're going to get.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I think though that the key, I mean, is just looking for that passion. Like, you got to feel passion for it, right? It's hard to do. These jobs are hard if you don't have passion. It is hard, and I think that's a really good point. I mean, one of the things that I think we see is we don't see a lot of certain females in this business, right?
We've had a few shows on that.
And I think it's a matter of comfort level for right now. Just the entry into it is hard. I don't know how all development shops are, but the shops I've been in, they're not not hostile on the gender lines. They're just hostile, right? So
Doesn't matter who you
everybody
are.
everybody looks at geeks and nerds. Oh, there's nice guys that are quiet. No, you put a bunch of geeks in a
Get
room,
on game night, different story.
Eat or be eaten.
and it is. You say the wrong thing.
Seen some
and
knockdown, drag out stuff in a boardroom before.
You will
was
get-
not pretty.
You will get laughed at, scorned, and it is just so.
Not very forgiving.
So yeah. So that culture, does it need a change? Yeah, I think we're missing half the workforce, potential workforce, right? And brilliant minds, and that's needed.
Yeah.
I mean, why not flood that? Think of the things that we could create if we increase this. There's people out there that want to get into this field that just feel like they can't because it's a long road. And
I was including them in the group I was mentioning about. That's my hope
Absolutely.
for technology. That's one of the groups I was thinking about.
yeah, and there might be ethnicities and whatever groups too,
Different ability
that
groups.
are just don't hear that language at home.
Right.
They don't hear a parent or a mentor or anybody talking about software and how cool it was to engineer something. Because once you hear someone around you talking about it that way, you instantly start thinking, I could do that.
But don't you think
No,
it's too
I
getting more
can't.
don't you think it's getting more mainstream that kind of thought process and stuff that, wow, I can create something, I can go out and do things. I mean, don't you think that is becoming more a thing, acceptable in our world that, hey, I don't have to just be a nurse.
It
or
is.
I don't have
Yes.
to
But
just
now
be
we have
a
to figure
teacher
out-
or not saying that that's,
Right.
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But now we have to figure out the pathway, right? Because, I went to college because my dad went to college. His parents didn't go to college, but they instilled in him, you should go
Need
to
to go.
college. So yes, I agree with you, Bobby, but now we have to start creating the accessibility, the road for those groups who may not know or who may not see the path there.
Yeah.
And there's lots of programs, lots of things that are attempting that. So
Yeah.
And don't you
good
think the
news.
future, I believe personally that the future is bright. I think there's
do
a
you
lot of
believe
cool
that
stuff
children
coming
are our
down.
future?
Yeah, I do. Children are
Yeah,
the
that's
future.
Sing it,
That's
baby.
right. I mean, think about
Well, and let them lead the way.
Did you think we were going to sing
No,
on this
I
episode?
knew it. It would have to come out eventually.
Eventually. I knew it
Brad
would
knows
happen.
I've
Did you
sang
guys
on the
want to
show
break
many-
into something, Vince and Brad?
It's
I
not the
got
first
nothing
time
on
I've
that one.
sang on the show. Just, wow,
This
this has
show.
been great.
Well,
I
thank you,
think we
guys.
could probably talk another hour and
Oh,
a
sure.
half.
Oh, I'm
but
sure we could.
No, next time we're going
probably
to talk
should-
about knives.
Ooh, yes.
The next,
we were-
the
we-
new podcast.
Yeah, the new what were we calling it?
Alter ego.
Alter
Ego.
ego. Yes.
goes in a deep voice.
Developer meets
Right.
How come Alter Ego's not Alter
Iron
Ego?
Forger.
That should have been.
Alter ego. Developer meets Iron Forger.
Right.
Isn't it cool if you watch those forging shows and then you see a guy come up, or a gal come up forging and they have the same full-time job you do? That person has the same job I do, and they forged 150 knives.
Only knife geeks, forging geeks get that. I get it. I know.
The cooks on Chopped, though, were always lawyers.
The cooks on Chopped.
I was a lawyer, but then I became a chef.
Hadn't noticed that one.
What?
Yeah, we
Okay.
appreciate
Thanks, you
being here. Thanks, you
guys.
guys.
Brad,
Thanks.
you got to
That
wrap
was
us in. I don't know what
I don't know what we got.
I don't know. I never know. We never know how to end the show. But thanks, guys. Seriously, this has been really eye-opening for me. You know, I've known
Absolutely.
about you guys. We've known each other for quite a few years, and I know more about your company now than I ever have. And we've sat down and talked extensively on what you guys do. But I think I have a whole different
Viewpoint.
that really is a powerful thing of what you guys are doing. So thank you for being on the show.
Appreciate it.
Brad, any last words?
No.
Yeah.
I got
think
nothing.
We're just going to wrap this thing up. So, everybody, thank you for tuning in to the new IT. We will see you next time for the new IT.